Hey, what's happening, Wargamers? It's Leland here with another quick video talking about the latest Adeptus Sororitas teaser that Games Workshop has put out there. Now, anyone who has followed me or watched any of my stuff for a long time knows that I've been a die-hard Sisters of Battle fan for a long time. I picked them up back in about 2001, I believe it was. I've been playing them ever since, so this is very exciting for me. So I'm going to quickly talk about some of the various things that we have seen in the leak that we can expect in Chapter Approved. So starting off with the Axe of Faith, this one's a big one because this kind of defines the faction as a whole. They've always been little things that just make your army a little bit more efficient, give them a little bit of flavor. So they've shown off one, the Passion, and this one is basically an additional fight. They can fight twice during the fight phase. This one's kind of cool. The big takeaway from this one, first off, is the devotion value of 5. So it looks like we're probably rolling 2d6 to get this off, which is very akin to the old school leadership checks for it. But the other thing to keep in mind is that we are very likely looking at a change to the way they currently work now, in which it basically interrupts the flow of the game and gives you an out of sequence use of these phases. So kind of cool. Kind of look forward to see that. We'll probably see something similar to what we have in the existing Acts of Faith, but we will see and find out when Chapter Proof hits. Next up, we are looking at the stratagems, and this is another one that is really kind of cool. These have been really neat for the current stock of armies that have been coming out in 8th edition. Basically, different stratagems to give the armies a little bit of flavor, give them a little bit of punch and whatnot. So we got a couple of them. This one right here, the Vessel of the Emperor's Will, as you can see, 3 command points, and basically it basically extends the available active faith aura ability for the sisters, which is really kind of cool. It expands it to a couple more units. There's also Blessed Bolts for 1 command point. This one's really cool, basically changing your storm bolters into a -2 AP 2 damage. This one's really cool for any Dominion squads where you can load up on a bunch of storm bolters and really go to town on an enemy unit. I'm actually really hoping we see something similar like this for the Grey Knights as well, just because it gives a lot of stopping power, lets you eat through some armor really nicely, and does a lot of damage. So great against things like Terminators. Next up, you have the Suffer Not the Witch. This one's a pretty standard one that we all expected to see with these Sisters of Battle. Basically, it gives them a little bit more durability against psychic attacks. Or in this case, basically gives them a little bit more ability to take out Psykers. So allows you to reroll failed wounds against Psyker units. And I mean, that's pretty much expected. It's kind of been their MO for a while. So the other really cool thing that we were seeing is the Order Convictions, and this is pretty much in line with chapter traits or other sort of sub-faction traits we've been seeing in a lot of books. So Orcs have their clans, Space Marines have their chapters, all this sort of stuff. Sisters of Battle have their different orders, things like the Ebon Chalice, the Martyred Lady, stuff like that. So the Valorous Heart, obviously this is a really big one right off the bat because it's basically giving you a 6+ Feel No Pain. And I mean, you can never deny the ability to roll an additional die to save your people. The amount of times I've relied on that 6++ invulnerable save that you get with Sisters has been amazing. So having the ability to roll a second one to protect against wounds, just amazing. Ebon Chalice, really kind of neat. Add 1 to the results of Tests of Faith with the units with this conviction. Kind of neat. I want to see how the other Acts of Faith pan out on this one, what we're going to be looking at as far as the required rolls for successes. That +1 may or may not really be all that useful. It really depends. Like if most of the acts are around 5, 6, 7, I don't care too much about that one. But if we see them 8, 9, 10, maybe. Next up, the Warlord Traits and Relics. This is another one. We didn't get a whole lot of information on this particular one. I believe we got a Warlord trait and we got one relic leaked, or at least teased. These ones, I mean, for a lot of the armies, these have been a little lackluster, but still kind of neat to see. So we got the Indomitable Belief, basically improving the Shield of Faith to a 5+ when within 6 inches of the Warlord. This one's kind of neat, very similar to Celestine. In fact, I think it's just like Celestine's ability as it currently stands. So anything that improves that durability a little bit more, especially with some of the high AP stuff kicking around there. The amount of times that this has saved my bacon and frustrated my opponent are innumerable. Next up, the Book of St. Lucius, and this is kind of a neat one to pair with the Warlord trait there. Basically, you're extending the aura ability by 3 inches. So instead of 6 inches, 9 inches. And I mean, a 9-inch, that's basically an 18-inch footprint that your Canonist or Warlord can now extend that additional invulnerable save, or that improvement to it. So really worthwhile to take a look at. Kind of cool. Next up, they showed off something really cool, the Penitent Engine. This one has always had a weird spot for me in the army. I've always loved the models, I've always loved the idea of it, but it has always suffered from being a glass cannon. It can hit like a Mack truck, but it has always been very soft, very easy to take out. Early on, it was open topped, armor 10, I think it was, back in the day of armor values, and it never really had that lasting value. So I mean, you can see here, very awesome looking model. Absolute nightmare to put together though, because that thing is completely metal. So fingers crossed for a plastic resculpt of it. But beautiful model, great thing. Hoping it's really useful on the table. But the big thing here is the Zealot rule, which gives it a second fight. Ability to fight in the fight phase, as well as a 5+ feel no pain, and re-rolling failed hits in the turn that it charged or performed a heroic intervention, or even was charged. This is really cool. They will continue to hit like a Mack truck. I just hope that we see some durability. I'm hoping for maybe a toughness 6, 4 wounds, even an armor save of 6+ would be nice. Just something on top of that feel no pain. Lastly, we have the chapter approved Warlord edition, and the only reason I bring this up is because it does come with the data cards for the Sisters of Battle beta codex. Really kind of neat. These cards I find have been kind of invaluable, so I'm really hoping that that those become a little bit more readily available, because not everyone's going to be able to do this. So what does this all mean for Sisters of Battle in general? Well, I am incredibly hopeful. I love the fact that we're seeing something like this beta codex. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the community brings back with it. Part of me is a little concerned that it's going to be a bit of a letdown, but it's still very early on, so we'll see what happens. Just in general, what I have seen is very promising. Nothing stands out as being too powerful, which is kind of nice, because I have to admit, part of me is kind of reluctant to see a whole bunch of people jump on this army that I've been playing for years. But that is more my personal thing. Obviously, if you guys want to play it, go for it. Show Games Workshop that people want Sisters of Battle, that there is demand for these models, because there is a lot of flavor with this army, a lot of lore behind it. I would love to see more people play it, and I'd love to see a lot more love to it. So some of the stuff I'm really hoping we see, obviously expand the Axe of Faith a little bit more. I mean, you go back to the old Witch Hunter Codex, there was other things like, you turned your armor save into invulnerable save, which obviously extremely powerful, but a really cool bit of fluff. In the current ones, you see things like, an out of sequence move, shoot, you see restoring wounds or lost models. I think the old school stuff, there was one where it allowed you to pass a morale save. So there's really cool stuff, really hoping we see it expanded like that. And as long as the rolls aren't too out of whack, really kind of cool. The other thing to keep in mind with the Axe of Faith is that they are changing things around a little bit. You're going to get one, I think, faith point for every 10 models on the table. So this does indicate some scaling. It indicates that we might be able to use more than one Act of Faith per turn, because currently we can get one on a 2+, and then using either Celestine or one of the elite models, I can't remember the exact name of it at the moment, you can possibly get some more. But it would be nice to have a little bit more utility out of it, because this is such a wonderful thematic ability of the Sisters of Battle, so I'd love to see more. Some other stuff I'd love to see, a couple new units. There's a picture of a sister on a jet bike that's been going around like a piece of fan art. Would love to see that go from concept into reality. Whether or not we do, I don't know, but it would be amazing to see something like that. But in reality, they could get away with, redoing 2 boxes of sisters and redo the entire line almost. One for Battle Sisters, which would cover, you know, the Battle Sisters, Dominions, Celestians, Retributors, all that sort of stuff, and then one box for the Seraphim, and bam, you're done. You have something that covers the entire line, which would be absolutely great. Maybe throw in another box for the Repentia, and then, you know, you have maybe something for your characters or something like that. So it'd be very easy to redo, but it would also be the bare minimum. I'm also kind of hoping we see a redo of the Exorcist tank. As much as I love the Exorcist tank, the model is very dated. It's very top heavy. Could definitely do something new with it. And it would be great to see it redone with some new rules as well, because right now D6 shots, no matter how good those shots are, is just not enough. So something along the lines of like D3 plus, you know, 1 or something like that. Just give it a little bit more consistency, make it more of a presence on the table, make me actually think about what heavy slot I am going to be filling with, because right now it is pretty much always Repentia and or not Repentia, sorry, Retributors, and usually the heavy boltier options. So I would love to see them do a little bit more work with that. And just in general, I'm really looking forward to this release. I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic, and I hope everyone else is looking forward to it as much as I am. So those are my thoughts on the latest batches of teasers that have come out. Hopefully you're all excited about them. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. As always, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. It does help this channel grow. It helps me get more content out there. It allows me to continue doing this stuff, even if it is not a monetary support. It is support that shows me this is worthwhile. So please and thank you. Hit that like, subscribe, and little bell to get notifications. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your support. Stay golden and happy wargaming.